So, there's this really annoying NEH deck that has been seeing a lot of play recently. You play Mamba Temple in it, you spam the hell out of your assets with turtle bags, with hostile infrastructures to take care of your assets should the runner go for them, and eventually they can't keep up and you start scoring agendas and triggering team sponsorships. Well, I thought to myself, this deck can be weak if the runner decides to trash all your Sens and check all your remotes. So why not play some Biotic Labors to help that out? So I'm gonna play this deck and I'm up against what probably is one of this deck's worst matchups, and yellow decks in general. Leela Patel. You've got to protect your centrals and you don't have that much ice to do so. There's fewer than 15 ice in 54 cards. That's a big problem. Let's see if I can hold off the assault. HQ goes unice here because there's no agendas in HQ, so I don't have to worry about ice being bounced. But he might have a count siphon. This is why I played Pet Campaign and Mamba Temple. If he goes for the early siphon, I'm going to rest both assets and deny a lot of money to his siphon. He does not have a siphon, so I rest the pet and begin playing stuff. Once I get to 9 credits, I can start playing Biotic Labor on my agendas. Ideally an Astro Script, but I guess scoring a build isn't the worst thing. You do not want to float above 5 credits for too long, because that leaves you very vulnerable to the likes of a Count Siphon. This is something to always keep in mind against Leela. It's always a game of Siphon versus scoring agendas. As NEH, one of your biggest strengths is being able to score agendas on very few credits. So you need to get out of the Biotic zone as quickly as you can. And now, right now I am. I can escape the Biotic zone, but do I? It's a pretty tough call. I decided not to because firstly I would prefer an Astro, and more importantly, I rather use the Sansan to score because that forces Leela to chase after my Sansan. And I chuck the build here. This might be a mistake. I should try to score the build instead, but I don't know. This works as well, I guess. I start recycling my agendas with Mamba Temple, and this you can see is why it's so great. If the opponent plays passively and decides to build up their rig instead, I'm just going to trigger my Mamba Temple so I don't have to use Jackson to clear agendas from archives. He also plays Gang Sign, which makes things very tricky. The next time I draw an agenda, I must attempt to score it. If it's a Palooza, too bad for me. Gang Sign is very problematic. You do not want to give Leela free agendas. So he finally begins checking my remotes and finds a Franchise City, which he obviously trashes. Franchise City gives this deck some legs. It allows you to play naked agendas without losing too much. It's basically a gamble in your favor. Now here I draw the build and I have no choice. I cannot leave the build in hand. I can install a new remote, but without the Franchise City to give me to allow me to lose less if my opponent scores it, I will score the build using the Sansan instead. Now he knocks off the pop-up from HQ and goes for HQ run, which I happily allow him to. And then he siphons me here. So I still rest the wraparound because I want to deny him as many siphon credits as possible. So I also rest the Cyber decks, leaving me on 0 credits and denying the siphon. I don't have to worry about HQ access here. There are no agendas in hand. This is one of the big advantages of playing Mamba, Temple and Jackson. You can clear your hand of agendas so easily, so your opponent will never get up to speed. The fact that he didn't trash the Cyber decks means he's probably not running Sucker, so I don't have to worry about that. The Palooza in my hand is a big problem. There's no way I can score it, and I need to get rid of it quickly. And sadly, my scoring window with Sansan has passed because he found a scrubber and is looking to begin scrubbing all my assets away. This is going to be troublesome. I should have tried to pitch the Palooza into archives last turn by overdrawing. Instead I find an Astro, but it's a bit too late. I'm going to play more Mamba Temples here and more Jackson Howards because I can, and I'm going to overdraw with Jackson here because I do not want the Palooza in my hand at all. This deck hates having agendas in hand against Leela. As some of you astute viewers might realize, I committed a mistake here. I shouldn't have used the second Jackson because there was already a first Jackson on the board. I completely forgot that he didn't trash my first Jackson. It's still live. So Jackson Howard being unique, I can't res 2 at the same time. That's fine. It's not a big mistake. I'll just use the first one instead and live with giving away some hidden information. Now he knows that remote is a second Jackson Howard. I find a Franchise City here. This is going to be useful. I can potentially sneak an Astro out. Let's see how aggressive he is with running my remotes. He checks my team spawn, Does he trash it? He is relatively rich. Yes, he does trash my team spawn. He checks my franchise city. So this is probably not a good time to attempt sneaking out agendas. Far safer is gaining up to 7 credits than using Biotic Label to score the Astro. So you see the advantage of this deck versus the original deck with encryption protocols and hostile infrastructures as influence. If you cannot find your Sansan City grid, you're hosed, as I am right here. Agendas will simply pile up in your hand and eventually you'll be forced to lose on HQ accesses. But with Biotic Label, you can elevate that. Right now, I have 7 credits. I can Biotic this Astro script out. I don't have to play shell games. I don't have to wait for my Sansan City grid. And this is a huge advantage this has over the hostile build. I think this is superior for matchups such as these, where you need to pump out those agendas quickly. And I do have a Bill in hand right now. He missed it on the gang sign trigger. I'm probably going to attempt to score out the Bill normally with the Astro token. If he leaves my pad up next turn. This will allow me to win on a 2-1 agenda in time to come. He does bounce the Ice of R&D and he's able to access quite a few cards, including a Palooza, which gets me a lot of credits. But R&D defense is a big problem. He could. I definitely need to short R&D before attempting to score a Bill. But no. I need to go fast here. I'm going to score the Bill right now. Icing up R&D is just going to prolong my suffering. The reason for that is because if I install Ice on R&D and proceed to score Bill next turn, he will simply bounce the R&D Ice and get free accesses anyway. That's the problem with Leela. Every time you try to score an agenda, she undoes your hard work. It might be a mistake to attempt to go fast against Leela, but the problem is this deck just doesn't run enough Ice to keep Leela out in the long term. There is Tollbooth and Lil Engine, both of which are incredibly annoying, as well as Archangel against Leela. But given that he has Scrubber and that he can compete with my assets pretty efficiently for a criminal, I think I'm safer off just playing the long-term game here. Now he abuses my complete lack of Ice to account siphon me. I can hold that back with a Mamba Temple, but that's about it. Archangel, what a pity. His siphon neutered Archangel's ambush ability, which is a big problem. And now he goes after my money as well. So this is going to be a bit of a problem. I will need to click for credits. The good news is once I find a 2-1, I basically won the game as long as I have 2 credits. So here I'm going to use Jackson Howard. Probably a mistake because that completely reshuffles R&D and gives him 2 fresh accesses. But I don't have a choice because he did run archives. So, yep. I'm going to find an Astro script here. Ooh, now if he goes in for a HQ run, he might be able to fetch an Astro script and I might be in trouble. I don't have the money to trash his Scrubber right now. That would be a great thing to do, but I can't afford it. Another possible play I can make is to install both Astro script and Franchise City, making it very difficult for him to contest my Astro without me winning. Right, he goes for an R&D run here. All I have is a pop-up, which is good for me. I want to be able to gain tempo. Palooza. Okay. Palooza. This is not very good. Now he's on 4 points. It's gonna get a bit dangerous. He now goes for my hand. Is he gonna hit the Astro? Is he? Oh my gosh, the 1 in 5. He got the 1 in 5. This is supposed to be my game to win. A winning game is about to become a losing game. Except that I just top decked the 15 minutes after the Sansan draw. With the Palooza money, I'm able to res the Sansan and single advance the 15 minutes to close out the game before he could find the winning agenda. Wow, that was very close. Way too close for comfort. If I gave him 1 more turn there, he could have seen 2 more cards of R&D. Who knows what would have happened then. I don't want to find out. I want to win while I can. So everyone has been complaining about Faust being too powerful, but on the co-op side there are many powerful cards as well. All these 4 influence behemoths define a lot of decks, and I think you can't run any competitive deck now without including at least one of these cards due to their sheer power. And I think that applies to NBN too, in particular Nerf Hub, who has 17 influence to spare. Even after spending it all on Astro Scripts and Sansan Grid, you still have a respectable 11 influence to play around with. I think not including either Biotic Label or Scorched Earth as the bulk of your influence in any H is a mistake. There's so many things you can do with Biotic Label and Scorched Earth. and they just help close out the game so quickly that you really want it in your deck. I mean, look at it this way. The yellow faction has all the money and ice it needs to be relevant in today's metagame. Archangel is strong, Little Engine is good against Faust. Toll Booth is still one of the best code gears around. Wraparound is a good gear check against Faust as well. On the money side, you have Sweet Sweet, which, as I mentioned in my previous videos, is essentially hedge funds number 4, 5, and 6. Increases your consistency greatly. Pack campaigns are good in Near Earth Hub. If you're playing New Angelo Soul, you have targeted marketing. If you're playing Spark, you have lots of advertisements. So one way or another, you're going to make money as NBN, and you don't need as much as HB because all your ice is cheap and scoring agendas isn't expensive. So realistically, you only need to spend your influence on power cards such like Biotic Labor and Scorched Earth. Things like hostile infrastructure and encryption protocol are luxuries, but foregoing Biotic Labor or Scorched Earth for them is a mistake in my opinion. I think this is a stronger iteration of the deck than the hostile infrastructure one, and I think it's worth testing out more. Maybe you find the same way, you can test it out along with me. Thanks for watching and happy nut running. See you around.